Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our severe case of indecision and our completely biased opinions with Ian, Tyler, and today on our special edition, still not yet named segment of the show, we have today with us Mr. Kult Krimes. How are we doing today, sir?
What's happening? Good. How are you guys?
We're great. We've been really looking forward to this.
Right on. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thank you, sir. So we came across your music starting with our first introduction was from the Anthony Fantano charity project, and that was the song we saw, I Am the Devil, which was displayed on that. We were all over that track when we talked about that album on our show. So being introduced from there and following everything that has been coming since, we've followed the full layout and release of this EP that you have been hyping up, and it delivered. It is fantastic, and we've been listening to it a whole lot, and I'm sure we'll have questions about that coming. How long has that project been in the works for you?
I think probably since mid-winter, or maybe fall. I think October, I started writing a bunch of songs. And then October and November, I was just on a nonstop writing kick where before I knew it, I had 20 to 30 songs. And then I was going to put out an album. And then I was just doing all this. I was working with my buddy. I don't know if you guys see the animations and videos and stuff I make with my homie here in town. And so we were doing all that too. And then it kind of turned into a bunch of small projects. So I was just trying to pick 4 songs. I ended up deciding, all right, I want to make an EP. And so I picked the 4 songs I felt were 4 completely different sides of Kult Krimes. And I wanted to kind of express that in an EP because it is very hard for me to kind of settle on one direction or one sound. And those 4 I was kind of hyped on and just wanted to, give a taste of all the ends of it.
Right. It came together so well, though. I was blown away, and it's been something that I've just been returning to over and over since it came out on. I guess it was the first now. So it's been about a week, but I've been so excited to talk to you about it. So I'm glad that you were able to come on. Has the reception been good so far?
Yeah, dude, and it's really surprised me. I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting the reception I have gotten from it. I mean, it's an amazing surprise. I feel my heart is full, that is for sure, to have people reach out and be sharing it and just as hyped on it as I was, because it's definitely funny when you make something and you hear it back so many times and then you get it to where you want it, and then you go into the mixing studio and you hear it a bunch of times again, and then you get it to where you want it, and then you master it. And so by the time you release it, I was done with these were mixed and done almost end of December. And so by the time you put them out, part of you is almost second guessing. I think just a party's over them in a way. I said, I love these songs. It's hard to say that, but it was just kind of a surprise when everyone's, as hyped on them as they are. I was like, all right, okay.
Right.
If the reception equates to how I felt when I made them. So that's dope.
Well, that's great. I'm sure that's a great feeling. And I'm sure that getting something you've put so much time into, other people's ears and the feedback and appreciation, I'm sure that's just a great thing and motivator to keep doing so.
Absolutely.
I think that you're one of. Oh, shit. Go ahead. No, you're fine. This is one of the problems with Zoom and not being in person is that it's hard to pick up on cues of when to go and when not to go.
I just did a podcast before, I think the day before I put out the EP, and it was 2 individuals that had the podcast too. And it was the same thing because of the Zoom factor. It's okay. All right. Yeah,
exactly.
So, it's so annoying. Okay, so can I go then?
Of course.
Okay, it's my turn. I was actually curious I was looking through your social media, and you've posted a lot about the album or the EP cover art, and the EP cover art is some twisted shit. It is so cool. And you've kind of, you've talked about it a little bit. I was curious about how sort of the vision for it came to be, though, because it the more that I look at it, more fucked up. Like it's in a good way fucked up it looks.
Hell yeah.
It's
I
so
love
cool.
that's the biggest compliment to me. So perfect. You know, when me and my buddy started making videos to kind of express, you know, the visual aesthetic of what Kult Krimes was, you know, I would kind of get into these characters, and they were never like false characters. They were these kind of expressions of myself, or sometimes I'm completely manic and sometimes I'm gentle and sometimes it's like insane. But, you know, I grew up loving horror movies as a kid, and that was always, you know, my stick. Like my hero was Freddy Krueger when I was, you know, really little. I just thought he was the coolest
Quite
thing.
the hero.
Yeah, quite the hero. Loves to kill children. What's my problem? I'm like, you know, but so I've always kind of been in love with that aesthetic. But then as we built these characters, you know, I would start making these costumes, and he had this crate of all these like weird masks that he doesn't even know how like he accumulated. And so I'm going through and I'm taking these masks out and I'm cutting the masks in half and putting them on, and they're just like the creepiest look to me. And so we did this video called Ego Death last winter, and I'm wearing this mask in it that's like half cut off, and we did this whole thing that was super like weird and kind of, you know, express that part of the ego and the self that I think we're either scared to identify with or really put out in the world, because, you know, there's a part of ourselves that have a hard time dealing with that. And so I wanted to explore that territory more and more. And I found the mask I'm wearing in the album art is this like pink cutoff mask. And then I was just like, I'm going to paint my face yellow and put on blue lipstick. And then I had this like black and white coat that I actually wore in a music video that'll be out next week. And so I put that on, and I just had John shoot me from a couple angles with this on. And it was dope. It turned out really cool. I was all about it. I was like, dude, this needs to just be its own world and kind of its own universe instead of just being a costume and a picture of it, you know? And so John kind of messed with it for a few days and came up with that thing. Like I came up with the first part, but John took it to where it is and what you see on the album cover. And as soon as he sent it back to me, I like wanted to cry. I was just like, this is amazing. I love everything about it. It represents it's like this weird entity in his own universe that's half mechanical insect humanoid type thing.
It's not even you in the picture anymore. It's its own creature in its own world, and it's like it's freaky as hell, man. But
exactly.
Goddamn, is it cool?
Oh yeah,
yeah. It fits the music extremely well too, and you have a very interesting blend of hip hop and synth pop and post punk and industrial rock and just a whole collection of things. And I just, how did you get towards that sound and creating? And did it take you a while to get there? Is this what you've been trying to sound like?
So I also play in a band that is more kind of indie rock, art pop kind of thing. And I've been playing in that for many years with 3 other individuals. And, but you know, I want to say like in the last 4 years or so, I really started to explore so many different territories of music, just like listening to stuff, checking stuff out. And you know, the first genre of music I was into as a kid was hip hop. Like I was into like gangster rap as a little kid. And then I slowly ended up into punk rock, you know, teenage years. And then once I got into my 20s, then it just like expanded into a whole different thing as I was creating music. And then I think recently, with just hip hop kind of exploring way more experimental territory and really blending other genres in it, I became like re-fascinated with hip hop, you know, in the last few years. And so I think that I would say that is the main genre I've been listening to the last 4 years, which kind of surprises me. I never thought that would end up being the case. And I think I just go into the studio like with whatever emotion and what I'm feeling at the time, and I just express that with whatever kind of music comes out of me in the moment. But I want to say, yeah, you kind of nailed it. It's like post-punk meets experimental hip-hop with some synth-pop, and I love all 3 of those genres, so they just kind of formed its way through me.
Right. Your sound is very much your own, though. I'd say that you've certainly created a niche for yourself, because I can't, off the top of my head, I can't pick out one person who I guess represents all of the different collections that you do and the way that you do. You definitely are the only one that I can think of that presents those genres the way that you do, if that makes sense.
Nice. Yeah. I hope that's a good thing. I mean, I agree with you. I really have a hard time, explaining where my music lies in the universe of music to other people. I'm just kind of like, oh, you gotta listen to it. I think Time Wheel did a really good job of describing my music on this EP on their website, and I really like that. It is definitely enigmatic, and that represents a part of me too. But yeah, I like that it's all over the place,
Right.
Part of the appeal. I was actually curious if I could talk about one of the specific tracks, and maybe you won't be surprised by the one that I want to talk about, but I wanted to talk about Polar Bear for a second.
For sure.
Because that's one of the ones that's probably going to stick with me for the rest of the year, because it's so fucking good. But I was curious, this is kind of a strange question, but are you familiar at all with like trip hop or Portishead? The
Absolutely.
genre trip hop. Okay, I was gonna say, because I hear some of the in that song. I hear like Portishead's, I guess, "Dummy" would be the album that I could draw a parallel to.
Yeah.
I was hearing some of that while I was listening to it. I was getting flashbacks, and I was like, "Is this just me? Am I going fucking nuts? Or am I?"
That's right.
So I'm glad that I could get that cleared up. And I was also curious about, I guess, some of the other things that you've been, because I also hear, like, specifically, if I'm getting into specific bands, I hear Nine Inch Nails a lot of times, and it's cool to see a really modern take stay so faithful to bands like Nine Inch Nails and Portishead, who are kind of like bowed to in
For sure.
the annals of music history, I guess you could say. It's really cool to see somebody take such a successful spin on that sort of sound. I was just curious, what other artists have you listened to that you would say contributes to that?
Oh man, I mean, I'm definitely all over the place. The Nine Inch Nails and Portishead is definitely an interesting take. I've heard that before, and it's funny because I've never been like a huge Nine Inch Nails or Portishead fan. I know that album very well, and I want to say I went through like phases of listening to that, but it's like I don't return to Nine Inch Nails or Portishead that much. I got mad respect for both of them, but I've definitely noticed even hearing my own songs back where I'm like, this has like a modern Nine Inch Nails vibe to it. And it's like, I don't even listen to them that much. So it's a trip how that kind of, comes out that way. As far as, I think a big inspiration, there's definitely been a few bands in the past 5 years that have been like huge inspirations just as far as like expanding my creative palette. And one of them is Young Fathers. I think they're brilliant. I think they kind of hit all ends of the map in what I want music to do for me. It kind of has this like really deep feeling to it, almost spiritual, but then it's really fun and dancey. And then it's like very forward and aggressive at the same time. Like it doesn't shy away. And so for me, a lot of music that like pulls me in now is just something that has intent, but isn't scared of itself. Like really kind of goes, here I am. And I think that is so attractive to me to try to do for my own music, because like when I'm on my own, I get in my own element. I'm totally a weird dude. Like I wild out in the, studio and whatnot and have fun and get crazy. I'm like a little kid. And so when I feel that from other people's music, I'm just like, yes, this is what's up. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately with Zoom, we're limited to 40 minutes and we're coming up on that. But before we head out, is there anything you'd like to plug or shout out or say? Floor is yours.
Just, Heavenly Mess, my EP that came out May 1st, continued stream however you want to stream it. And then I got a video for Taking Chances, which is the second song on that coming out. It's kind of a performance video, so that's coming out sometime next week. I'm not sure yet.
Awesome. Well, we would love to have you back on and I would love to spend more time chatting with you. You definitely know your stuff, and it's awesome to talk to someone with the same interest and as much talent as you have.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah,
absolutely. I'd love to talk to you guys again. It was very cool talking to you.
Yeah, especially after this whole thing blows over, this whole fucking mess. If you ever are down in the Baltimore area, we will definitely be coming to check out a show, and we would love to interview you in person instead of over the shitty ass fucking service.
So down, man.
Yep, Baltimore or DC. We're very close to both
DC.
of those.
Nice.
Yep, awesome. All right, sir. Well,
All right,
stay
guys.
safe, and we will we'll hit you up with all the links and everything so that you can enjoy this as much as we have.
Please do. Take care.
Awesome. See ya.
Peace out, man.
Later.